Hello everyone and welcome back to another video. When it comes to anime, there's an abundance of shows out there for everyone to enjoy. And with so many different series, it's bound to have a massive library of characters to choose from. But not all of these characters are created equally. Some of them have very likable personalities while others are just plain insufferable. But even the most hated characters can sometimes be intriguing in their own way. Like Light Yagami from Death Note. He is quite possibly one of the most hated protagonists out there due to his actions and mindset throughout the entire series. But despite being such an antagonistic lead character, he's still one of the most popular ones as well. But what makes Light Yagami so fascinating? Well, like I said before, it is because there is this dark side to him that makes us wonder how someone can be so unhinged. Now we will get into some spoilers in this video, so if you haven't watched Death Note yet, then be warned. So without further ado, let's jump right into it. Coming from an incredibly strict household, Light Yagami's mentality going into life was always about rules and laws. Light was expected to maintain a certain image in school, one that would make his parents proud and deem him worthy. From the time he was young, Light has always been at the top of his class and was often praised by his teachers. In fact, one of his classmates described him as being perfect, as in academically he really had no flaws. His grades were immaculate, his personality was pristine, and he was never late for anything. But beneath that seemingly flawless exterior was someone who was actually rather bored with the world around him. He saw how corrupt society was and how unfair it was for people who worked hard to succeed. He believed that the current state of humanity was disgusting and that they didn't deserve to live. So when Light stumbled across the Death Note, he jumped at the chance to change things himself. As soon as he picked up that notebook, he had access to a power that he had always dreamed of, a godlike power that would allow him to punish those he deemed unworthy. For Light, this was like a kid in a candy store. Finally, he could do whatever he wanted, and there would be absolutely nothing anyone could do to stop him. To Light, this wasn't just about power. It was about doing what he believed needed to be done. You see, Light believed that only he was worthy enough to shape the future of humanity. Before finding the Death Note, he claimed that if he were to die, he wouldn't be reincarnated because he didn't believe the world was worthy of him. And when he was given the chance to decide the fate of the world, he took it without hesitation. Now, one of the most disturbing aspects of Light's character is his lack of empathy. When he killed someone for the first time, he was shocked by the sight of blood. But that feeling quickly went away. After that, he killed countless criminals without batting an eye, including a man who had just witnessed his father being murdered. Light was able to justify his actions with ease. In fact, he argued that killing criminals was heroic and necessary. He stated that killing someone with a knife is murder, but killing someone with a bullet is called an execution. The only difference is intent. Light completely removed any sense of morality when it came to taking a life and replaced it with his own personal vendetta against crime. This is what made Light Yagami such a frightening individual. He was willing to do whatever it took to rid the world of criminals, even if it meant sacrificing innocent lives. He truly believed he was doing the right thing. He believed that he was becoming a better human being. Light's desire for godlike power can also be interpreted as a form of self-loathing. By becoming a god, he could finally escape the confines of his own humanity. He could become something more, something beyond the limitations of being a mere mortal. Light's obsession with power began when he was just a child. One day, he was playing with his friends, and one of them pointed out that Light's father was bald. From that day on, Light hated his father and wished that he could kill him. Later, when Light learned about his father's occupation as a police officer, he became even more enraged. He felt that his father represented everything that was wrong with the world, everything that he wanted to destroy. And so Light decided to take matters into his own hands and framed his father for a crime he didn't commit. He wanted to see his father suffer the same fate as the criminals he put behind bars. In a sense, Light was punishing his father for being a symbol of everything he despised. When Light used the Death Note to kill his father, he finally felt like he had achieved true power. He could now manipulate the world around him and make it bend to his will. No longer was he just a powerless student. He was now God. It's important to note that Light was never satisfied with the level of power he had. He always wanted more. When he realized that the Shinigami Ryuk had dropped his Death Note, he immediately panicked. He knew that if he lost the notebook, he would lose his powers and everything he had worked so hard for would be taken away from him. So Light did everything he could to hide the Death Note from view, even going as far as to move in with his friends. He didn't care how inconvenient it was for them. All that mattered was that he had the Death Note and that he could continue using it to control the world around him. When Light found out that the Detective L was onto him, he became desperate. He needed more power, more control. So he made a deal with the Shinigami Rem. In exchange for Rem's help, Light promised to give her the Death Note when he was done with it. Light knew exactly what he was getting himself into, but he didn't care. He was willing to sacrifice anything, even his own soul, for the sake of power. Light's obsession with power didn't just end there. When he found out about the second Death Note, he immediately set out to find it. He didn't care about the risks involved or the potential consequences. All that mattered was that he had the power to control the world around him. As Light continued to use the Death Note, his sanity began to deteriorate. He became more and more withdrawn, spending most of his time alone in his room planning his next move. He became obsessed with the idea of Kira and the false narrative he had created for himself. He truly believed that he was doing the work of God and that he was destined to become a god himself. Light's obsession with power ultimately led to his downfall. He became too confident and too arrogant, and in the end, he was defeated by the very thing he had created. So what can we take away from Light Yagami's character? Well, firstly, it is important to remember that he is a fictional character and should not be emulated in real life. His actions are not condoned and should not be repeated. That being said, Light is an interesting character because he shows us the dark side of human nature. He shows us what happens when someone becomes too powerful and too confident. Light is a reminder that no one is above the law and that even the most brilliant minds can be corrupted by power. He is a cautionary tale of what can happen when someone becomes too obsessed with themselves and their own importance. I hope you enjoyed this video, and if you did, please leave a like and subscribe. Thank you for watching.